Kwéyòl is intricately tied to our identity as St. Lucians. I'm going to say that again. Kwéyòl is intricately tied to our identity as St. Lucians.
Alright! We're going to step on the place a bit more. I want to say much love and thank you all. To all my royal and distinguished guests. You're my fans, you're my friends, you're my family.
Rasta to the bone. Hey, look and see. Me nah show you about nothing we happy in me. For as long as get the people still are in me. Yeah, divine liberty.
Hello everyone, I'm Gideon St. Helen. Bonjour tout le monde. No more c'est Gideon St. Helen. And yesterday I announced the release of my brand new book called Ékwi Kwéyòl.
Is it the old girl that endangered?
Today I'm gonna do something a little bit different.
So any of the two
I'm gonna merge two of my really favorite things to do.
can confuse your mind.
Writing Creole, Ékwi Kwéyòl,
Yeah.
and roots reggae music.
Sin that's left when Rasta done, wipe out man down. Rasta to the bone. Gene distortions to see
So what I'm gonna do today is
to evening hunt.
give you a deep dive into the book.
Robbing the poor man blind. Robbing the poor.
I know the book is not exactly cheap. It's $100 EC, $37.99 US. Tama yoksa sashe.
You can see me
So before you go and spend your money,
happy in me.
something that you could have bought for maybe a different reason during this Christmas season, Tama yoksa.
Liberty.
I wanted to give you a deep dive to see if this is something that you'd consider to be of value to yourself or to somebody else.
The machine stay on. Waiting as the documents are right. Worldwide must come to light. World quartet, which must come to light. People who don't choose evil for life.
And we're listening to my favorite roots reggae band of all time, the Great Midnight Band from the USVI.
I'll say Satan seen as the angel.
The vocals by Von Benjamin, the late Von Benjamin.
Wicked utmost clarity of fragmentation. When they speak of their high rhetoric and practice they lie.
Are you sure you want some more? Let me know you want some more if you want some more.
Hey,
And on my shirt is the great Taj Wicks,
look
the roots reggae artist from St. Lucia.
about nothing we happy in me.
Big up yourself, Taj Wicks.
Get the people still are in me.
One of my other favorite roots reggae artists.
Divine liberty.
But let's dive into the book right now.
Yeah. What is the vision of the spirit of hunger?
Here's the cover.
Clean and never satisfied.
And as I said yesterday, designed by me.
Inside,
I'm not a graphic artist, by the way.
the two extremes can confuse them.
And to those who are new here, this represents the colors of the St. Lucia flag.
Gene distortions to seal of time. Morning to evening, hunt for identity sales. Robbing the poor man blind. Robbing the poor man.
All right, so here's the table of contents. The book is divided into 6 parts. I give a brief introduction, a few pages of introduction, where I talk about why Ékwi Kwéyòl, why I wrote this book. And briefly, I wrote this book for myself, I wrote it for you, and I wrote it for us. And then who's Ékwi Kwéyòl for? Basically, if somebody is in secondary school or older, or maybe even primary school, but they could read really good, and then they could speak Kwéyòl or even understand it, that book would be helpful to them. But it's mainly to somebody who's able to speak or understand Kwéyòl. You do not have to be fluent in it, like I said yesterday. You just have to be able to recognize the sounds that are used in Kwéyòl And obviously the book is written in English, so you have to be able to read English. In this book, I'll be using the approach of a really layman's approach. I'm a scientist. I do scientific research, medical research. And I really hate when people speak to me and they come and they speak in this jargon. And I'm like, why? Why are you talking like that? Somebody says that jargon rots the brain. I like simplicity. So the approach I'm taking in there is a layman's approach. And I'll be using English because we speak English, we write in English. I'll be using English as a reference. And also I talk about the Tim stories and why we have it in this book. Chapter 1 is a Kwéyòl writing in a nutshell, like I said yesterday. Many people basically learn to write Kwéyòl from these tables in the Creole dictionary, the Saint Lucian Creole dictionary from the Ministry of Education. And the tables have the consonants, the semi-vowels and vowels, and examples of words. So you could become familiar with the sound of each letter or combination of letters, what we call digraphs. Another thing I don't do in this book is using like fancy words like orthography, these kind of words. Also, we have 25 Tim stories in this book, what we call Tim stories in Saint Lucia. In Jamaica, they call it Brer Rabbit stories, I believe. And Trinidad and other places, some parts of Africa, these are Anansi stories. But in Saint Lucia, these Tim stories, the main character is Compé Lapin, or in Jamaica is Brer Rabbit. So that was the very first Tim story here. Compé Tigre dans tout, and you could see the illustration on the back. So in part 1, where we focus on the vowels, I have, again, for each of the parts, for most of the parts, I have learning objectives. And then chapter 2 is all the A songs. So we focus on the A songs in chapter 2. Starting with letter A itself, and letter A gives that A sound, A. So, and then I give like words with the A sound, sentences with words containing the A sound. An example of a word with that A sound is that aboli, to abolish. Anytime you hear that A sound, this is A by itself. So aboli, abusak, action, chat, at. You hear that A song in chat. So that A song is A. Then there are exercises. Then you have the A, letter A combined with Y. And that gives you the I song, like if you want to. And then the way that I say it in the book is the I, your eyes, I. So anytime you hear I, pronounce the same as my eye, your eyes. Anytime you hear that I song, that means there's an AY there. So afalai, bagay, batai. So there are sentences with words containing the AY song, then exercises after that. And then usually after each subsection or section, I have the Tim story, where you could practice reading. And you may not be able to read this fluently at first, but as you progress through the book, you'll notice that your ability to read will improve. So use that as a gauge to see your own progress. Then we talk about the AN digraph, and the digraph is when you have the two letters combined to form one sound. So the song, the AN, the song that you get from AN is So balance, to balance, balance. Ban, as in a bench. Changement. Point, to take. Then there are sentences with words containing the A sound. And then we talk about, what about words where you have a true N sound? Because that A-N is It doesn't give you an. It's not an, but there are words that you get the an song, right? So how do you get that an song? That means you have to add an extra N after that digraph, that A-N. So it'd be A-N-N. So Zandoli. In order to get Zandoli, you have Z-A-N-N. If it's just Z-A-N, you would not pronounce it as Zandoli, you'd pronounce it as Zandoli. But nobody says Zandoli. Say Zandoli. So to get that extra N song, the true N song, you need to add an N after that digraph A-N. All right. I talk about the S-Y-A-N-S, science. Then we go into the E sounds. The E sounds are really important because you have the E with the acute accent, which gives you that A pronunciation. And then the E with the grave accent, which gives you the E pronunciation. And this is where a lot of writing in Creole goes wrong. People just put what the accent there. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they write it as, for example, manger, M-A-N-J-A-Y. Or if they're aware of the E, the accent, they'll have different accents, the wrong accent. So exercises after that. Then we talk about that E with the grave accent. Chauffeur, direct, direct, exemple, sauver. So here we have in exercise 7.2, 36 words where you have to either write one of the two E's with the proper accent on it to complete the words here. Then we come to the EN digraph. Just like the AN digraph, there's an EN digraph. And that gives you the sound. Chien, fime. Pas fime la tiboy. Ou ka fime top marijuana. Pas fime. Or bread, pain. Or even in Saint Lucian, Saint you hear that Saint Lisi. Saint Lucian. In Saint Lucian also Saint Lucian. You hear that so that would be an EN. This is one of my favorite tunes ever. Drastically resistant to Rome. So the next vowel, we jump into the I sound. And I is pronounced as a long E. A long E in English, like me, B. I has that same sound. So in a word like habitué, anytime you hear E, that's I in Creole. So vini ici, ici. Ou ba ka spell ici epi I. Ka spell I epi I. I-S-I, ici. Or tifi, ga tifi ya. La pan pièce I en sa. C'est I qui en tifi. T-I-F-I, tifi. So the E sound in Creole, that long E sound that we're familiar with in English, is simply I in Creole. Then we go to the O sounds. And there are three main O sounds. There is what I call plain old O, which we know in English like O, the long O. So in Creole, Bo-si. Bo-o-si. So that's O. Just O by itself. Limo-wo. Limo-wo. There are two O's here. And then there is the other O with the grave accent, which is pronounced like an O. 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 So Kwéyòl, even in Kwéyòl, you cannot spell Kwéyòl without that O. O with the grave accent. Kwéyòl. Kwéyòl. O. Kwéyòl. There's also an ON digraph, and that ON is pronounced as on. On. À fond. Bonbon, as in cake. Bon. On. Chanson. Chanson. Cher bon. Then there's SYON, Sion. A very common combination in Creole. Sion, action. Nation. SYON, Sion. The OU digraph is simply as U, as it's what is common in, it's similar to what you get in the English, U. So, U, à boussac, à genou, chatou. Oops, that sounded crazy. Chatou. Not chat-ou. Chatou. There's OU followed by the N sound. So that'll give you what is common, what is present in a word like moon. Ka say moon la. Moon. Un. That's what you get when you combine OU with N. Un. And if M follows that OU sound, you'll get udum, kakum, a gloom. Part 2 is a focus on the consonant sound. And many of the consonant songs are exactly what we use in English. So like a P, L, a B, a D by itself, a G. This is exactly what we used to in English. But there are some that are distinct. And again, this is where a lot of people would falter in the writing of the Creole. Like CH. In Creole, there is no, like in English, we would say shatter, to break in pieces, shatter. So in Creole, there's no SH. You never write SH in Creole. That sh sound is CH in Creole, so shat. You don't write shat as SHAT. It's CHAT. So that CH sound is important. Chien, CH. Then there's the DJ sound. The DJ sound and the J sound. The DJ sound is what you'd get in a word like jab. So don't spell jab the devil as JAB. That would be wrong. The jab sound in Creole is DJ. That ja. You could almost say that D in the beginning. Ja, Fiji. So in Creole, that's DJ. The J song in Creole is what you'd get in a English word like je, treasure, usual. This is Jean, that J sound. So Jeep. Tifia mette un Jeep à soi. Toujours, always. L'argent, Jean. So that is J by itself. So you have to be able to distinguish between that DJ sound and the J sound. The book is going to go into detail and help you be able to distinguish these two. Then there's the NG sound. I'm going to speed through the rest of this. This is getting a bit longer than I expected. The TJ song is also critical. So you know how in Creole we don't write SH We write SH sound that we know in English. In Creole, we write it as CH. But there are some, in Creole, there is what sounds like a CH sound. In Creole, like Africain, ch, ch. We would typically write that as CH in English. But in Creole, we write it as TJ. So Africain, Acholma, what sounds like a CH, is written as TJ. Teacher, teacher, cha, teacher, as in teacher. And you notice that in Creole, there are some English words that we've just converted into Creole and just write it as Creole. So like teacher, teacher, chanchil, chanchil. So these are TJ sounds right there. Then there are the semivowels W, Y, H, and R. R is seldom used in Creole, in Saint Lucian Creole. This is not the same when you look at Creole in IT or Matnik. They use R. We don't typically use R except in some English words that we've converted to Creole, like radio. So I talk about the W sound, the Y sound, semivowel sounds, the H sound, like had, hale, hedi. The R sound. You notice that my voice is a bit weird. That's because I had a head cold a few days ago, which left my throat a bit weird. Then we talk about the punctuations, the hyphen. Typically used, you know how to write, to express a definite article like the girl. So tifia, there you'd follow this by a hyphen. Again, you'll see how this is used in the book. The apostrophe, it's used in contractions. So mwen pa ale la. Actually, I know just got the ma ale la. So here you'd use an apostrophe for that contraction. Mwen pa compared to ma. M apostrophe A. Then part 5 is really numbers, time, and common greetings. And part 6 is Creole proverbs. I have quite a few pages on Creole proverbs. For example, ale soukwe sak la, kote ou van chebon. As in, go shake the bag where you sold the charcoal. Sa vle di sa, mesye. Ale soukwe sak la, kote ou van chebon. An bateau ki koule, pa sa empêche an lot navige. I like this a lot. Un bateau qui coule, pas ça empêcher un lot naviguer. A sunken ship won't prevent another from sailing. So lots of proverbs. And then finally we have the glossary, where I have all of the Creole words that I use in the book, along with the English translation, and the part of speech whether it's a noun, verb, adjective. So this is it. I just gave you an extended look of the book Ékwi Kwéyòl. If you want to buy it, if you see value in this book, if you see whether this book is going to add value to you, will help increase your knowledge in something. If you see that there is value in writing Creole, personally, I think there is considerable value in being able to write Creole. Again, because I'm passionate about this language, also because I believe that we should preserve the integrity of this language. Now, some people might say, okay, like, why do you have to focus on writing Creole? It's not like I could get a job in the United States, in England, in Taiwan, because I could write Creole. No, it's not about that. There's intrinsic value in preserving our culture and traditions, because Creole is intricately tied to our identity as St. Lucians. Creole is intricately tied to our identity as St. Lucians. I'm going to say that again. Kwéyòl is intricately tied to our identity as St. Lucians. So there's considerable value in preserving that language, in ensuring that we preserve not just speaking the language, but writing the language, helping people to write the language, become literate in Kwéyòl. There's intrinsic value in that. D'accord? So if you see value in this book, check out Amazon.com and buy it. And I give all thanks to you, all the people who've expressed their support of this book. Overwhelming support. Big up to you. Really appreciate it.
I feel like really
and if you notice, it says that it's #1 in foreign dictionary and thesaurus or something like that. I'll have to look at that again. So there's quite a bit of you who've probably ordered this book already. So big up yourself. I appreciate it.
nice brown shade of amazing sea. Musical key. Nice up, come round, you make my sadness free. Nice up, come round, you make my sadness free. As a municipality, divine go righteous, so she walking.
And to wrap this up, I just want to play one of the baddest tunes, reggae tunes I've ever heard. On this album, Ancient Miles by Midnight. Just listen to this tune right there, Abadan Abyss.
Drastically resistant to Rome. Drastically resistant to Rome. Yeah. Whoa. Redemption through the blood is a life sentence. Can't get original blood through no repentance. Man, they are in a Abadan abyss. I lick down elephants. All with the name down and blood. Pull up. Drastically resistant to Rome. Drastically resistant to Rome. Yeah. Redemption through the blood is a life sentence. Can't get original blood through no repentance. Man, they are in a Abadan abyss. I lick down elephants. All with thy name gone, thy blood convinced. More fire. Drastically resistant to Rome. Drastically resistant to Rome. Christian demographics. Them falsify blue, hide the black Christ with them ethics. Them still pan them slave owner forefather politics. Them still have the false image, deceiving the nations with it. Deceiving the nations with it. In a lying pathological chronic epidemic, the sermon is a death threat clinic. Talking about the devil's system and them working for it. Man who's standing up against it getting hurt for it. Drastically resistant. Drastically resistant to Rome. Drastically resistant to Rome. Drastically resistant to brush and comb. Yeah. Whoa. Hold your honorable mention citation. Every time them see the God man is intricate simplicity articulation. Because of human concept limitation. Jah Rastafari, Jah Black is the first covenant. Jah Rastafari, Jah Black is the first covenant. What's in the world? And the world was made by him. First man eternal without brush and comb. Me want to talk the language and me want to go on. Rastafari, drastically resistant to Rome. Drastically resistant to Rome. Yeah. Redemption through the blood is a life sentence. Can't get original blood through no repentance. Man, they know you're in a Abadan abyss. I lick down hell fence. All with thy nail gone, I blood convince. Redemption through the blood is a life sentence. Can't get original blood through no repentance. Man, they are down, you're I'll dig down hell fence. All with thy name gone, I